Hi, I'm Keith Mark with the Nightly Nuge, and Ted and I are off celebrating Christmas with our friends and family. But tonight, we're going to share with you one of Ted and mine's favorite Nightly Nuge episodes. Welcome to the weekend edition of the Nightly Nuge. And you know what, Ted, last week you were talking about the story of you in the Sudan. And we may actually have to go back to that because we got a lot of emails in that people wanted to hear, more of the graphic details about how you got out of the Sudan. And I think we'll do that. And because people seem to be so interested in just hearing the stories, I thought I would just have you tell a little bit about a hunt you and I went on, man. It's been probably 15 years ago now, where we were up in the Yukon, and on the same trip, I shot a charging moose at 1 yard with my bow. And you shot another one at less than 10 yards that was very near one of those other dangerous charge situations. Why don't you talk about those two hunts from your perspective?
I will. People won't believe this when I say this because I write thousands of articles. I have a pretty good grasp of the English language, and I've written 3 New York Times bestsellers, but this might blow your mind. I've never read a book all the way through. I read King Dog of the North, and Jack London's Call of the Wild mostly, and that's about it. But I was given a book by a friend of Fred Bear's recently, and this is what the cover looks like. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. It's
Narrow Escapes.
Narrow Escapes and Wilderness Adventures by Ben East. I couldn't put it down. Right now on my person, every day, I could be dropped naked into the Brazilian jungle and I would survive because I have first aid, I have firepower, I have a large neckerchief, I've got plenty of fire starters so I could build a fire, which is the foundation of survival. But in this book, Narrow Escapes and Wilderness Adventures by Ben East, I'm buying up every one I can to give to my band and my crew and my family, my sons and daughters, because what you and I witnessed and experienced in our Yukon adventures, and I've done it in Alaska, in Africa many times, and in the woods of northern Michigan. I got lost in November of 1968, and I didn't think I was going to survive a blizzard, but I somehow found a fence post sticking up out of the drift, and I followed the fence for miles, finally saw a road and saw truck lights, and I made it out. But I thought I was going to die that night because I didn't have fire starter. I only had a couple rounds left. I didn't have any survival gear. And what we've discovered is that a man should be prepared at all times to provide for his loved ones. Mm-hmm. And that means in every vehicle there should be adequate tools, a fire extinguisher, certainly a spare battery and a jack and all the apparatus necessary to repair a tire, and a thorough, complete first aid kit. My bus driver, Josh, 2 nights ago, Keith, was driving from the Michigan gig to our New York gig. With the band and the crew in the bus, he saw a headlight swerve up ahead and watched a car go down a cliff. He was able to pull over to the side, put on his flashing lights, and he went down this steep ravine and found one of the occupants was already dead, the other was near death, and the other was bleeding profusely. Josh didn't have a first aid kit handy, but he improvised, adapt, and overcome, and he saved 2 lives because he responded. But I had a big scolding with my team last night. I want a complete, comprehensive first aid kit on that truck, including rope and pulleys and a fire extinguisher fore and aft. You and I, when we're in the wilderness, in the Yukon, we had some real bad freezing rain and drizzle weather come in. Yep. The river was either down or was too choppy for us to get back to camp. So we pulled off into a cove, and we had fire starter necessary. We knew how to get the birch bark and the dry stuff from underneath the coniferous trees where we could start a fire. And we had a good day, I got to tell you. In a survival situation where you are prepared like a Boy Scout, always prepared, you feel that you're doing your job for the gift of life that God gave us by preserving that life. So I could tell you a lot of specific adventures, but the most important thing on the Nightly Nude is we emphasize being the best that you can be. We emphasize a higher level of awareness as a musical communicator with my incredible band, as friends who are taking on a criminal government and trying to get America back on track, as someone who will intentionally and adventurously and eagerly leave the beaten path to go into uncharted territory in our hunting season adventures. And we have to make sure that we're prepared at all times. So the most important lesson I can give everybody is get a copy of my book, Blood Trails, The Truth About Bow Hunting. And I write a monthly column for Hook and Barrel magazine. Hook and Barrel magazine. I write a monthly column for the Texas Trophy Hunters Journal. I write for Adventure Sports Outdoors in the Midwest, and I write for the Outdoor Guide out of St. Louis. And a lot of those articles have to do with being prepared. Safety harnesses when you hunt out of a tree stand, making sure your broadheads are covered, making sure you have adequate supplies on you, a first aid kit and an overnight survival kit. These are the kinds of preparedness that has caused our species to thrive. And nowadays, there's a lot of helpless individuals. I'm afraid if you took a hammer around to the schools in America, an embarrassing percentage of students wouldn't know which end to grab. There's a lot of dependency out there. Joe Biden is the perfect president for dependency, for helplessness, for feebleness, for whining, and having someone else cover for you. The Nightly Nude is about rugged individualism, absolute independence, and preparedness. And our outdoor lifestyle demands that we're conscientious and cautious, and that we make sure that our loved ones and our fellow hunters are always prepared. And the road less traveled is exciting, but I prefer no road ever traveled, and therefore I have to be ready to take care of myself. Very important lesson in life, I think.
Yeah, you know what, Ted, I just want to add to that all you that are listening out there, whether you're hunters or not, please join Ted and I and Michael Waddell and Mark Geist and many others at hunternation.org. It's a place where hunters and just patriots, people that believe in freedom, God, family, country, are joining together to ensure that we keep these freedoms, including our hunting lifestyle. Hunternation.org. Check it out. You can win a hunt there. There's lots of cool things. Just check it out. Ted, great week with you. You might want to take a little rest and then get out on that stage tonight and just tear it up like you do every other night.
I guarantee it. Thanks, everybody, for making the Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild show on Outdoor Channel such a success for over 30 years. Ted Nugent's Spirit of the Wild has a good ring to it. And if you're not a hunter or a fisherman or a trapper, get out there and try it. It will cleanse your soul.
Come back next week. We'll have some more of the Nightly Nude right here, because there is no fake news at the Nightly Nude.